Welcome, everybody, to another episode of the Talking with Heroes talk show program. I am Bob Calvert, the host of this program and the founder of TalkingWithHeroes.com. And thank you for your service.us. Behind the camera, you'll be hearing from Paul Roberts. He's behind the camera right now, Afghan veteran with Heroes Here for Heroes. And if you notice, there was a gentleman standing next to me with this wonderful T-shirt. And we're going to find out what that T-shirt's all about shortly.
Yes, we are.
And so this is Jonathan Dade. He's a veteran. And Jonathan and I have met for the first time, but we've talked many times over the years.
Yes, we have.
We have some audio programs we have done, and now we're here in Austin, Texas, at the Ark of Texas. They've allowed us to have this wonderful room to do these programs. So if you could start out, Jonathan, tell people a little bit about your service first, a little bit about you.
Right. So my name is Jonathan Dade. I spent 6 years in the United States Navy from 2002 to 2009. Got a chance to be stationed a lot of different places. Started in Texas, of all places, and spent 2 years near the Bethesda, Maryland area. Then I spent a couple of years overseas. I was stationed in Japan on a ship out of Yokosuka, Japan, and we got a chance to go to a lot of Asian countries. Did a very small tour with an Army Air Defense unit, and then spent my last 2 years on the Coronado in San Diego on the SEAL base, and then got out of the military.
Now, we hear this a lot. I hear it a lot. Our listeners, our people who watch our videos hear it a lot. You're a veteran, but you're out here helping other veterans.
Yes.
And when we have talked audio programs, you were on different bicycle trips, helping wounded warriors, helping veterans.
Yes.
So talk a little bit about that, maybe some of the organizations. And I know some of them you go, across the state of Texas.
Yes.
So
Yes.
good.
So, Bob, one thing I got a chance to tell you a little bit about is my book. It's called The Church and the Community. And one of the things I wrote about was, as you might know, 22 veterans or more take their life each day. It's not the war that's killing our veterans. It's all the mental struggles they deal with after they come out. One easy example I can give someone is when I first came back to San Diego. I grew up in Oceanside. I'm walking around my old neighborhoods. Everything's changed. People move on. I was still kind of just not really in a good place, walking around in my military uniform. And you go knock on doors of some friends you remember, and sometimes they don't even open up the door. So it's just those types of mental struggles. You don't find your place in society. Well, in 2009 I got out, and it wasn't until about 2011 one of my friends realized I was maybe high functioning. So I had a job, I was married, but was really depressed. Went through a lot of anxious thoughts and even suicidal thoughts. And he said, "Hey, how about you do a bike ride with me?" And in my mind, I'm thinking I hadn't did a bike ride since middle school or elementary school. Who rides bikes when there's cars, right? And he's like, "Do a bike ride with me." It was 50 miles from Washington, D.C. all the way out to Manassas. And it wasn't on this bike. I'll get to this bike in a second. But I was actually on a friend's bike. He was an Air Force guy, actually much shorter than me. So I kind of look like, big black guy on a little bike. It's kind of like a big guy in a clown car kind of thing. But that bike ride literally saved my life, because I was around other veterans who knew the struggle. I was around other veterans that said, "Hey, you're dealing with the VA, I'm dealing with the VA too. This is what I did to help me get through the VA system." And they walked me through all of those things. What do they deal with when they have an anxious thought? How do they relax themselves? How do they calm down? How do they keep the suicidal thoughts at bay? And ever since then, I purpose to do one ride a year, and the organization is called Project Hero, and their Ride to Recovery challenges. And the premise is the bike riding is a little bit of a form of like a group therapy, but it's all psychological. You're around other veterans. It's a peer-to-peer network is what it really comes down to. Veterans need to be connected with their peers. But I also know veterans who literally have never been outside after they came back from overseas because their head is just not in the right place. Getting on a bicycle gets you outside. It keeps you in shape. And there hasn't been a single veteran I know of in the program that's taken their life. And to obviously include myself. So it's amazing. And actually this past year, I've come from such a far place that now I'm in ministry. And so I have a church here in the Austin area, and Project Hero has been bringing me on some of their rides to now serve as a chaplain. So again, one of the things I wrote about in my book is literally going from those anxious thoughts and suicidal thoughts and depression to being able to serve people who are in those situations as a chaplain for Project Hero. And that's why that shirt that I was just holding up a second ago, that was a ride that we did in Chicago. We started at Evanston Subaru. My friend Robert Pador is the CEO out there, organized a great ride. Veterans from around the nation went out there, and I got to open up the ride with a little devotional, a little prayer. So being able to give back to veterans, knowing that it wasn't hardly a couple years ago I was in that exact same situation, not doing so well.
So do you have like a lot of veterans in your congregation, or?
Actually, I do. So our congregation, we're technically in the suburbs. We live in Georgetown, where our congregation is, and the average commute's about 50 minutes because we have some people coming down from the Clean Fort Hood area. One of our members is actually deployed again right now to Afghanistan. He just had a baby, but we're taking care of the family, and some other individuals, they just drive right on down with people that drive up from Austin. So a lot of veterans, which is really good, because when I talk to them about the fact, and this is why I believe personal testimony is so important, you got to tell people why you struggle. You have to tell people what thoughts you've had, and then they realize I'm not alone. You know, like that No Vet Alone initiative. Again, they're not alone. There are other veterans who've had those exact same thoughts, those exact same struggles, the exact same issues with the VA, and they're not alone. It's when they think they're alone, they end up becoming that statistic. And so yes, I enjoy ministering to those vets, but frankly, I enjoy just reaching out to them and telling them my story. One thing is the book that I've released. There's been veterans who literally said that book saved their life. When they read it and realized what I went through, they're like, I have the power to get through this now. And that's why one of my biggest goals is to try to get that book in as many veterans' hands as possible. The book is also very beneficial. It's called The Church and the Community. It's kind of autobiographically written. It kind of goes through my life, through my time in the military, and it shows how I went from everything I am to the point that now I'm leading a congregation that's very actively involved in the community, whether it's helping veterans, whether it's helping widows and orphans. So the book is very encouraging, very inspiring, but it's tried to teach people we can overcome anything. I mean, the subtitles is 25 Life Realizations from a Black veteran who overcame racial prejudices, anxiety, and thoughts of suicide to become very successful in business, ministry, and life. And then that truly is my belief that you can overcome anything, whether it's prejudice, whether it's anxiety, whether it's medical difficulties. We can get through that and decide I'm not going to be a victim, but I'm going to be an overcomer who's able to just do amazing things.
Yeah, my brother, who just retired from the Army as a commander, our mom is in hospice care. She's 93 years old. Dad was in World War II, and he's trying to get her to see that, to look at the good that's happening, all the family around her, and not dwell so much. Yeah, there's bad stuff going on, but there's good stuff going on too.
Yes.
And if you focus on that, it just helps you a lot.
Right. And that's what I essentially really worked hard to do with my book, is say, okay, we have all these things that we can dwell on, but how can we overcome it? One of the things I wrote about here, actually not I wrote about, but one of the reviews, this is from John Wardine, who's the president and founder of Project Hero. He says, through Jonathan Dade openly sharing about his childhood, service to our country turned to civilian life, we get a rare glimpse into the struggles our veterans face. This unfortunately leads many of them to anxiety, depression, and suicide. The church and the community documents Jonathan's personal ride to recovery, and he did it without pills and psychologists. This book further proves how Project Hero, along with the Little Faith, successfully provides hope, recovery, and resilience, enabling Jonathan to become a chaplain and go on to empower America's finest. And that's what I firmly believe in. Project Hero is real big on that, is hope. The veterans need hope. I mean, they're not alone. You need hope. You know that you can get through this. Recovery, you can recover from anything. And then lastly, getting that resilience, getting that strength to be not just what you once were, but stronger than what you once were, which is also why this book is appealing even beyond the veteran market, because I think everyone needs that. Everyone needs hope. Everyone needs to be able to be more resilient, and then they need to be able to recover from whatever they've been through, right?
Exactly. Yep, exactly. Now, you said successful in business, too.
Yes.
Do you have, in addition to your ministry, do you have a business?
So actually, yes, I do. So I did my MBA at Washington State University. When I first got out of the Navy, I worked at a paper packaging plant, and I wrote about it a little bit. And also, this book is I've been speaking at a couple colleges and universities. They've been having me come to their incoming class and try to show the students how, look, don't fall into that millennial mindset, but you're going to school to empower yourself and to educate yourself. Well, anyway, so I used my VA benefits to get my MBA degree, because I went from working at graphic packaging paper plant, and then I got recruited.
That's okay.
You'll be able to cut that out,
Sure,
right?
it's not the first time it's happened. No, it's okay.
Okay.
We're fine.
So if you re-edit this part or whatever, but what I'll say is, so I went from working at a great paper packaging plant, got recruited into PepsiCo Frito-Lay, and then from there got recruited into Michelin, and just watched myself go from higher salary to higher salary to higher salary. But that was through education. Is because I was pursuing my MBA, got to the point that I was making a six-figure salary, and then one of the biggest things that ever happened in my life was God telling me, I want you to leave corporate America, and I want you to go serve people. I want you to go into ministry. So full-time ministry, unless you're Joel Osteen, you don't get paid those crazy numbers. So I don't anymore. But seeing people come from dark places and just be able to have that hope again is for me, it's all worth it.
Absolutely. Now, you mentioned Chicago.
Yes.
When I talked to you years ago, I thought Texas.
Yes.
Right. So you're participating in these bicycle trips in other cities too.
Right. So it was for the first couple of years that I was in Project Hero, I only did about one ride a year. Frankly, it was what I needed to just continue to have something to look forward to. The year that I moved to Texas was also the same year my younger brother, took his life. And I wasn't able to do a Project Hero ride, and that was probably one of my most stressful years of my adult life. And well, anyway, I try to aim to do one ride, usually close to where I live. Well, I've been doing this so much, and Project Hero is like, we want to provide hope and recovery and resilience to veterans literally around the nation and even around the world. So they've been now bringing me as a chaplain to rides that I would not normally go to. So I've had the privilege of going to Washington, D.C., did a ride in Richmond, did the ride in Chicago, and that for me is powerful. I mean, it's powerful beyond words, because when veterans have something to look forward to, when they have a project that they can work on and prepare for, and then when they're able to reconnect with each other, that transcends just a bicycle ride, or that transcends all these little things. You're saying now you're able to show the strength that you truly have. And it was actually just this past year that Project Hero gifted me with this bicycle. I had been on a metal frame bike, an aluminum bike, and it was a cyclocross bike, a little bit heavy, but I had trained so much, I had been able to be part of the FAST group. And then Project Hero, they said, well, if you're going to be chaplaining with us and traveling with us, they got me this endurance bike. And it causes all the pain. I had a little bit of sciatica. With this bike, you don't feel that anymore. You don't feel the numbness in your wrists. This is a bike that I could not afford on my own. It's got disc brakes, the same that and with hydraulic brakes, that, like on a motorcycle. My top speed is so much faster on this bike. Guess the MSRP on a bike like this.
I have no idea.
What I can afford is about $3,500 bike. Wow. Yes, but what this is able to do, though, again, no pills, no psychologist, no surgeries, a bicycle. And it's something that someone with any ability level, they have customized bicycles. I know a guy that has no hands, and his stumps hook into this customized bicycle that has these computer chips, and it's able, exactly, and that's what Project Hero does.
I remember years ago, I was at the Face of America ride.
Yes.
I think it was like 3 years ago, filming.
Mm-hmm.
And I was just amazed at what I was seeing. There's like 500 riders for 2 days, and some of them were riding alongside another veteran who was more wounded with I don't know what you call it, a stick.
Yes.
And helping them move along.
Yes, that's actually one of my favorite things to do. I just actually did Faces of America ride just this past year. Yep. And so for me, when you're able to go from the place of being in that place where you need someone to help you, you train, you get stronger, you get faster, you get a nice bike, and then you're riding your bike and you're able to push someone along. That is when you've unlocked a power deep inside of you that's able to help you not become a statistic. And in a lot of ways, that's what this book does, is it walks someone through, like I said, those 25 life realizations. How do you get to that point where you're part of that 4% of people that actually is able to help others? So you're doing more than just being in a good place, but help others. It's just words, almost indescribable. I wouldn't be able to get into it right now. You'd have to read a whole book to see that. But yes, when you're able to help other people, it's healing, isn't it?
Yes, right. You're right. So how do people get your book? I know you have a website too.
Yes. So my book, JonathanDade.com, JonathanDade.com, and that has links where they can buy it directly from myself. I sign every book that is bought on the Jonathan Dade website. On the Jonathan Dade website, there's also links to Amazon. So the book is on Amazon. It's on Kindle. Right now, we're actually working on the Spanish translation. A lot of individuals down in some Spanish-speaking countries have been, they resonate strong with that theme of overcoming adversity. So they've been looking for the book, and we're also working on Audible. But one thing I really want to say is I want to get this book in the hands of as many people as possible. I know there's some supporters out there who might say, I know 10 veterans, I know 100 veterans, I know 500 veterans. On the Jonathan Dade website, I have special discounts, brings the book down to like $6 a book. So I'm not trying to make money on it. I'm trying to get this book into the hands of people that can help. So if you or someone you know is connected with veterans, like I said, 10, 50, 100, 500, you go on that website, you get one of those quantity discounts, and let's get this book inside of the hands of veterans who need to read it and want to get inspired. I brought 5 books with me today. I want to give them to you, Bob, and I want you to either auction them off, give them away, whatever, just because I think these books can save some of those 22 lives. And if it can do that, I want to make that happen. So again, JonathanDade.com, it links to the Amazon, but anybody that supports our veterans and doesn't want to see those 22 veterans each day, buy one of those quantity discounts and just give them to that veteran network or that organization, and I will just ship them however I have to. I want to really get them to people.
Absolutely. So if people want to get in touch with you, they go to JonathanDade.com,
Yes.
right?
Yes.
And what about your church? Maybe people in this area might want to, hang out in church and worship with veterans.
Right. So I almost kind of have to laugh. It's kind of funny. Even though I'm the senior pastor or the rabbi at a Messianic Jewish congregation here in Texas, I actually promote the nonprofit Project Hero more because as a veteran, it's done amazing things for me. But obviously, I do give all the thanks to God. I do believe in a higher power. Actually, even had the privilege just 2 nights ago, I did a debate, Does God Answer Prayer? It was a standing room only crowd. It was a wonderful debate. There was an atheist there, a Reformed Jewish person, a Universal Unitarian, and myself, and we were talking about Does God Answer Prayer? So for me, faith is a huge part in who I am. Even though my book has the title, The Church and the Community, it's not written in a way to evangelize or proselytize, but obviously if someone wants to connect with faith and with my congregation, they can reach out to me. But the name of my church is Messiah Echad, and the premise is it's interfaith, so you have Jewish and Christian believers coming together, because that's also something I'm very big about. Why do we have to fight? Why does it have to be black, white? Why does it have to be liberal, conservative? Why does it have to be Jewish, Christian? Army, Navy, I can understand, because the Navy obviously is better than the Army. So that's different. But we need to be able to come together. So our congregation has a lot of interfaith families. We've grown really well. You might not know, but 96% of church plants fail within their first 5 years. And my congregation is in its 5th year, so we're part of that 4%. I attribute that clearly to God. I attribute that to how Project Hero has unlocked that power inside of me. So it's a lot of factors, and I wrote about them. So also, and I'm even later tonight, I'm speaking at an entrepreneurial happy hour. They brought me in as a keynote speaker because a lot of entrepreneurs connect with that story of how do you make it? How do you fight adversity? How do you fight obstacles? Well, the military teaches you how to do that, obviously. But yeah, so our congregation, Messiah Echad, that's MESSIAHECHAD.org. We're in Georgetown, Texas. We meet every Saturday at 3 p.m. And again, if you want to know anything about that, this is truly written as an autobiography. So you read this, you will learn everything about my congregation, my life, even brutally honest in the book about girlfriends I've had that I wasn't very faithful to, but then God redeemed that part of my life and showed me how to be a better man. When you read that, you're like, you know what? He did it, I can do it, and our personal testimonies are how we connect to each other. Again, it goes back to that peer-to-peer network and that concept of no veteran is alone. I think we live in a time where we think we're alone, but we're not. I mean, social media makes it to where we think, I've got 1,000 friends on my social media, on my Facebook, but yet you're struggling, and they don't reach out to you. You might post on your Facebook post, I'm thinking about taking my life today, and people may or may not reach out to you, but we're here for each other, right? We're here for each other. And
I've been honored since my last trip to Iraq and Afghanistan. I've interviewed over 100 military support groups. Most of them are like you. Mm-hmm. They're a vet. They maybe got brought like you did on a bicycle ride, how it helped you. Now you're leading the way. So it's vets helping vets.
Yes. Yes, but it's definitely vets helping vets because we understand. One quick story I want to tell you, just because sometimes people they want tangible examples of how all this matters. So I live in Georgetown, and everyone that owns property or is over the age of 18 can vote. And there's different things that were happening in our community, and people were voicing their opinions. Hey, I think we should do this. I think we should do that. And there's one thing that I voiced my opinion on. Now, Georgetown's a very, very great community. I love that town, love the mayor, love everything up there. They're actually the first Purple Heart city in Texas, so very veteran friendly. But there's this one issue that was happening in our community, and I said, hey, I think we should do such and such. And there were people that were trolling my social media posts saying, your opinion doesn't matter. You've only lived here since 2013. I've lived here for the last 20 years, so your opinion, you guys are just moving in here and coming up with all these opinions. And I had to look some people in the eye and said, so your opinion matters more because you've lived here for 20 years. When I spent years serving my country, getting shot at, I came back as a 10% disabled veteran, but that means nothing. So I could have spent that time being here, having more longevity here, but I didn't, so my vote doesn't matter while I was serving my country. Your years just sitting around matters more. Hugely, hugely traumatic things we deal with. But those are the kind of struggles our veterans face. They come back and then their voice doesn't matter. Where they live, no one cares about them because they're like, you haven't lived here as long as we have. Well, it's because they were serving their country. That's why they weren't there. We need to show our veterans more respect. We need to show them we care about them. They do have a place in our society. We need to have, and I'm very thankful that we have disabled parking spots, but also in Georgetown, we have Purple Heart parking spots, and they're for any veteran, any disabled veterans allowed to park in those parking spots. It's giving your veterans a place in the community, a voice in society. It's sad that here we are in 2018, and there are some people that don't do that. I know we've come a long way since the Vietnam War, so I'm by no means diminishing the progress we've made, but you can be mad at the war, you can be mad at presidents, but you should still thank a veteran. You can say, thank you for your service, thank you for doing what you did, thank you for answering that call, because not everyone wants to do it. Not everyone wants to come back with PTSD, missing arms, missing legs. Not everyone is willing to do it, and there are men and women who have been willing to do it. The very least we can do is thank them.
Doesn't matter politics, doesn't matter religion, color of skin, whatever it is. We should all be thanking all our veterans because we have a free country because of them.
Yes.
I don't remember the figure now, but since way back, hundreds of thousands have given their lives.
Yes. Yes, and that's one of the reasons also why I connect so well with other veterans. Again, I connect with people in my church. I connect with fellow Texans. I'm personally a conservative, so I connect with those conservatives, and anyone that rides a bike is instantly my friend. But veterans, they know what it means to put on that uniform when black, white doesn't matter, when liberal, conservative doesn't matter, tall, short doesn't matter. I remember I even wrote about this in my book. There's this one guy, he used to wear Confederate belt buckles when he was on Liberty. He was from the South. He was the first person I ever met that actually wore Confederate belt buckles and always talking about, General Lee this. But what's interesting is him and I were like really good friends on that ship because service transcends all of that. Service is we are both here fighting for the common good against the same shared enemy. We both put on this uniform. Veterans understand that. And that is one thing I think if America could figure that part out, and as a society, if we could embrace that concept, if we can say, you know what, we're all Americans. If we could do that the same way all veterans say, I'm a veteran, or I'm serving my country, all the problems right now, right, Bob?
We're living at a time right now where we're being divided. Yes. And it's sad because we shouldn't be divided. So
this is it's so easy to get into religion and politics, and then we start getting in trouble. Chris Mitchell was one of the he's a CBN, Christian Broadcasting News, Middle East bureau chief in Israel, and he wrote a review on my book. It's on the back cover, The Church in the Community, and it says, Jonathan Dade provides powerful biblically based life lessons born of adversity. His overcoming mentality can help anyone reach their God-given potential. But what I like that Chris said, which connects back to what we're talking about, he also brings a timely, redemptive, and healing perspective to the racial divide tearing at the fabric of our country. Our country is dividing right now. It's ripping apart. I'm in an interracial marriage, so my wife is white. We actually adopted 2 white children. And you would think that there'd be all these racial things and struggles we face, and we do. But the key is, can we find our unity? I've got 2 children that I love. My wife loves them. They love us. that love and that unity is what can fix things. People are talking about right now renaming schools, renaming streets, removing statues. I actually wrote about that. I don't think removing statues is the answer. Our history is part of us. We need to say, okay, this is one part of our history. What I think we need to do is add statues. We need to say, this was one part of our history. This is another part of our history. We need to put statues up for the war of Iraq and Afghanistan. So we're saying, look, these are all different parts of our history. We need to see those. We need to embrace those. We don't need to say, it's black, white. We need to tear things down. No, we need to have constructive solutions. I think that's what's going to fix our country.
I appreciate your passion.
Very, very passionate about it.
Very much so.
So I wrote all of that down because that passion is what I think can people talk about make America great again.
Right.
I don't think America's ever been great. I think America has been good. To make America great, we all need to have a passion about coming back together, and then we'll be greater than we ever have been.
Exactly.
Yes. So I think now we've covered race, we've covered religion, we've covered politics, we've covered biking, and we've covered. Is there anything else we're missing?
I wish I could be here in Austin to go to your Messianic Jewish temple. My mom is Jewish, and my dad's Christian.
Mhm.
So it's been an interesting upbringing.
Well,
I've been wanting to go to a Messianic Jewish temple.
Well,
It's Christians and Jews worshiping together the same God.
yes,
Right?
yes,
God of Abraham.
yes.
It's-
Well, the problem is, so Jews, they don't like Christians because Christians are always busy trying to proselytize and evangelize, and a lot of Christians also believe in replacement theology. I wrote about that. And a lot of Christians don't like Jews because they're like, you killed Jesus, and then there was the Crusades, which, by the way, was really bad. I mean, you're murdering people who didn't believe like you to show them what it's like to be a good Christian. I kind of find that ironic. But anyway, so there's been this big divide between Christians and Jews. Why can't we come back together? Why can't we say, you know what, you worship the God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. I worship the God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. That's why my second degree is after my MBA, I did a master's in theology degree, and my thesis, which some of my professors didn't like, but my thesis was on Messianic Jewish apologetics. Essentially, how can we bring the Bible back together, Christians and Jews back together? Because again, you can think about what makes you different, but you can think about what makes you the same. And when you do that, that is what can redeem this nation.
Then we can all be working together.
Exactly.
In spite of our differences.
We can be working together. I mean, why does it have to be separate? I mean, I truly don't. I mean, I understand why. I just don't agree with why we have to just be so divided about things.
I agree.
Thanks.
Okay.
And you weren't even Navy, so look at that.
Yeah. So before we close, I always I have the audio programs with you.
Mhm.
Just look at the camera, give a shout out to our troops.
I just want to give a shout out to all of our troops, whether you're currently serving, whether you're in a support role, whether you just got out, you're a service member or you're a veteran. And I support you. I thank you for your service. This is something veterans can do for each other. And truly, I want to get this book to you. Whether supporters help me get some quantity books to your troops, to your service, your duty stations, I want to get those to you because I want you to know that you're not alone. You're not alone. There's no vet alone. You are part of a peer-to-peer network of other veterans who care. So please don't become one of those 22 each day. Reach out to someone. Let us know. We're here for each other. Thank you.
Thank you for your service to our country.
Thank you.
Glad to finally meet you.
Yes, very good to meet you
And
too.
I have a feeling we're going to be doing more together.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Definitely. Well, folks, once again, you've been watching here on TalkingWithHeroes.com here in Austin, Texas, at the Ark of Texas. Thank you again for them for getting having a space for us. To all of you who are serving around the world, if you're in harm's way, be safe, stay alert. We look forward to you coming back home. To all of our veterans, all of our military, first responders, and families, thank you for your service to our country. And for those of you who like what you've just watched, please share it with everybody you can.
Yes.
It's really easy on social media. And so thank you very much, and we'll be back with more here in Austin, Texas. God bless you, and God bless America.